Well, everybody, it's over. The LCS 2023 spring split is over. And though we're going to have some fun today, I actually haven't watched every single game. I've watched
You didn't
games here
miss
and there.
anything. You didn't
But
miss anything.
last
After game,
night,
after
when I was
game
watching
one,
Gen G play, woo, that was literally insane. That was insane. Holy crap. That series was awesome as fuck. And then, going from watching that to watching this, well, and then watching FlyQuest the day before, you're just sitting here like, well, that's the LCS for you. And also, we have some spicy news to go over too. Bjergsen also resolving, him. He officially came out and stated that he was eating out Lena's booty hole when Doublelift was going to work. Wait.
they're going to work together. That's me. How?
That means when Doublelift went to go play solo queue, Bjergsen went to go play with her fucking ass.
Yeah, he was playing solo queue while Bjergsen was playing hide
the titties.
Yeah, hide the rainbow row.
Oh gosh. Well, guys, let's go. Banger show incoming. And what is going on, everybody? This is the Cloud9 podcast, season 7, episode 17. And as you guys already know, this is going to be a special episode because Cloud9 are your LCS 2023 Spring Split champions once again.
The LCS still sucks, man.
Let's go, man.
This LCS
Give me my trophy.
Sucks.
I love my trophy.
But y'all didn't look good there. I'm not gonna lie.
I love this trophy, man. This trophy right here, I could shove this shit in my booty hole, and that should feel so good. God, man.
But y'all didn't look dominant, though. I'm not gonna lie. It was just
those early games were kind of rough. Those first 2 games.
All 4 games.
Game 3 was.
Game 3 was go to Guardians. Game 3 was
back and forth. Game 3 was back and forth. I would say there was no actual edge. I would say that the edge was more or less so in top lane because they weren't winning bot lane. Like bot lane, they were completely getting ass railed in. Game 3 specifically. The first 2 games, Golden Guardians definitely had it. And well, guys, yeah, as you guys know, Cloud9 winning a 6th trophy, that makes me so happy because back when I first started watching, all we did was just come second place and lose in finals and also very close finals too. So now having been through 2020, Cloud9 has won a title every single year since then. And people like back then when they got rid of Sneaky after 2019, people were like, oh, it's over for Cloud9. They're never going to do anything anymore. It's over. What is Jack doing? People know that C9 has won way more domestic titles without Sneaky than with him. People gotta understand that this wasn't like some sort of like dog shit org that just didn't want to do anything anymore. It's just like, sometimes you have your legacy players and then, sometimes you just got to get rid of them because they're not really advancing you. Yeah, Sneaky was great for Cloud9 for all those years that he played for Cloud9. I think people also underrate how good he was in a lot of, Worlds games and a lot of like big playoff games for the org as well. But, you can't just always think about settling for someone if that's the highest peak that they can reach. You go out and you try to theoretically upgrade. And, they got Sven. He came over for his first year as an ADC. He won something for the org. Later on, he, won again in 2021 and 2022. And now 2023, he's won, the titles of support. So, like Berserker, like people now love Berserker. You told people like years ago, you're swapping out Sneaky with Berserker or Sven. They called you crazy. Like, oh, these guys ain't about to win anything. Well, yeah, about that. Also, people said that Cloud9 wasn't going to go to Worlds without Sneaky too, and that's been proven wrong a lot of times too. So, also people said they weren't going to get out of groups without Sneaky either. That was also proven wrong. So, it's just, I love it. Yeah, I love talking to people, and they're always like, this will never happen. And I'm like, I don't know about that, but I always try to remain optimistic. If Cloud9, they are playing bad, I obviously will call that out. Like the first 2 games today, the early games were definitely pretty shaky, but as you saw with the later 2 games, it definitely got back to where we thought they were initially going to start at when the series started. But, I'd rather it look like that than it just look like a complete stomp. Because, like, if it looks like a complete stomp, like, that's not fun to watch. Imagine going and paying all the money for those tickets and you just watch, like, the series should have been over at probably, like, what time the series starts? 1 o'clock for you, probably? Like, 4 o'clock for you, probably.
Yeah, 4 o'clock for me.
Wait, you sound kind of low. Let me turn you up. Dang, why do you sound so low?
I'm high, man.
Yeah. Okay, now you sound better now. Okay, I just turned you up in here. Yeah, man. Yeah. Woo, man, another trophy. I love it. You love to see it. Love to see it. Are we gonna win the next split? I really didn't know. I really don't know, honestly. But if we did, I would do backflips and then I would come, out my ass.
And then get smacked at Worlds.
That's not gonna. Why does Chaz always do this? Every time I try to be happy, he starts to smack me down.
Because you get too happy and then you get delusional.
Delusional? No. Nah, that would never happen. Only during if I put too much faith in, Because remember, wait, did you watch the LCK games from last night?
Yeah, I watched all 4.
So let's think. We thought Genji were gonna get Adriana Chedic fisted, but then they did the Adriana Chedic fisting.
Oh no, trust me, no. I kind of had a weird feeling Genji was going to win because they kept talking about last year's summer split. I'm like, oh fuck.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy about that? Because so guys, I know people are gonna want to ask us, are we gonna cover Europe and LCK? Europe and LCK's games will be covered on what day are you off this week? Tuesday, right?
Wednesday.
Yeah, so we'll cover that stuff on Wednesday. We'll cover the LEC games and we'll cover the LCK games on Wednesday. Like you guys probably don't know, I can't stream on my main channel until Friday night coming up next week, right? Oh, sorry, this week coming up. So yeah, we'll have the episode on Wednesday covering that. But no, watching Genji win was like, that was one I didn't expect them to win. I saw them playing. I watched the first 3 games and then I passed out.
I watched the first 2. I missed half of the third, but I knew T1 they just gapped them too much.
What's crazy is that Genji could have actually won that 3rd game. That was the game they actually, in theory, had a great shot at winning, but, Gumayusi was... What's crazy is that people are going to watch that series and go, like, Keria and Gumayusi, like, choked, but in reality, they were the only real reason why they were actually in the series every game, Because
Genji had the momentum from KT Roaster. And
that helped them getting on stage and playing early. Yeah. Because I know people were like, "Oh, think about a bracket reset." And I told people when it comes to this kind of format, because this is the first split LCK has ever done a losers bracket. Because people claim that like T1 didn't get enough games to play, which is factually a lie. They first of all had 2 series before this to play because they're in the upper bracket. The LCS, you have your upper bracket. You stay in the upper bracket, right? So they faced off against KT Roaster. They went to full 5 games, right? People pointed out they had weaknesses in that series. People pointed out, hey, you could definitely beat them. KT Roaster definitely showed you can beat them. Then they play against Genji. They won. Outside of game 2, they won pretty convincingly. Like outside of game 2 of that series, people are back. No, T1 won pretty convincingly. Like they won, like pretty good, And then also I factor in all the T1 players. What happened with their All Pro vote team, dude? You remember that? All of them were voted All Pro team, all of them. So in theory, they have the best players in each position by what the All Pro voting system says. By what the actual LCK representatives, like the fans,
I still believe they do.
Like when you're factoring in, like everyone was in unanimous, like based off the regular season. Keep in mind, this is the regular season that they had the best players in every single position. I think it's debatable with mid, and I think it's also debatable with jungle. I think BDD played way better than Faker. I think Chovy played better.
But BDD had too many games where he went MIA.
Not that many. But Faker was like invisible. He wasn't really like doing anything. Remember that Cassante game he had last night? Where he was just running around. Like he had.
But BDD had those same kind of games, and the issue is KT Roaster was too close into games where they should have just outran the opponent. That was the issue with KT. KT could beat the bad teams, but they were too close to those bad teams. Where a few of those games, and KT could have been from.
I'm not gonna lie, man. Early in the split, I was sitting here going like, "This roster looks pretty fucking weird." Remember that game they gave over 2 Elder Drakes because they lost to a Lux E. I was like, huh. That is just
the jungler. Weird. The jungler was debatable.
No. If I'm going for because T1 were all pro players, so I would say Genji. Let's say Chovy made second team, didn't he? I think Chovy could be considered first if you want to go back and forth on that. Showmaker had too many bad games. He turned it around later on, but it was too many bad games in that split where his brain fried and he just want to.
Showmaker's first 9 games.
The first half was like
first 9 games automatically kind of took him out from like all pro voting.
Yeah. So the only other people that I would say is just BDD and Faker. Not sorry, BDD and Chovy would be like that. Guma Yusi and Keria is fine. Keria played the best out of all the supports in the league. For Guma Yusi, the only other people that were good, there were a decent amount of ADCs that were good. Like Aiming was good. Def was actually pretty good. Pace played really good.
Pace played good.
Who's the guy on Live Sandbox?
Fuck, I know you.
Fuck, Envy. He played good. Yeah. Outside of that really weird Varus game he played, that really bad one.
Envy needs to stay away from Varus.
Never play Varus ever again because that guy.
He's not bad on it. He
just misses every ability.
Yeah, he just tries to do too much. Unless it's the E ability, he can't hit anything else.
I'll say Envy, Deft, Pays, Amy. Yeah. They had some pretty good ADCs this time around. Who else? And
what made Def bad was his support. That's what kind of threw him.
Yeah, Kellen is just bad. I don't know why Damwon were like so focused on keeping Kellen and Duck Dom after they like pretty much turbo into their entire year last year together. I think the Damwon staff were like, man, Kellen's pretty good at Worlds. This one isolated event, and we just had 2 splits in a row where this guy was practically turbo sprinting it. I shit you not, people. There was a week where Duck Dom and Keelan got sick. They played their Duck Dom was able to play because he wasn't that sick. But they played their academy support, and he looked so much better. It wasn't even close. I was like, wait, why don't they just play this guy? He's so much better. But no, that's just how nepotism works. If someone likes another person more, they'll just play that person, even though in theory, they're just worse. Hence, with FlyQuest, we have been saying for weeks, why don't they just bring back in Winsome? You know, if you give Ayla like 2 weeks to play, if he's just shit in the bed, bring back Winsome. It's like, you know, let Winsome know, hey, it's not your fault. You played great, but he was our
and the issue with Winsome, they brought him back too late. They should have brought him back by the end of the season.
At least before the Super Week, at least.
No, I would have brought him back after the Super Weekend. I think Ayla did enough to garner for the Super Weekend. Yeah. But after I went down for the playoffs, that was...
Literally, after they lost that tiebreaker game for Cloud9, I would have just threw him out, honestly. Yeah. I'd be like, this is over, bro. Like, that's enough weeks. That's enough sample size of games. You know?
Because I think to me, I wouldn't have brought him in. I would have just had Winsome the whole split, and then because I felt like that threw off the whole synergy, and just like FlyQuest just never recovered. Because FlyQuest should have never been in a situation where they had to be in a tiebreaker match. They should have been first going to the playoffs, not C9. That was their whole issue. I'm like, fuck, okay. And now they're not. It's like go to guards or MSI. It's like, holy fuck.
It was crazy. I was just joking. I was just joking on my live streams on my main channel. I was like, yeah, they're about to go to the finals. I was kidding people. I didn't actually want that to happen. Well, it was not only because like I think Gory and River are bad. It's just the fact that today, look at today's games. The fact that they got so hard gapped in games 3 and 4, people think Berserker and Sven are going to do it to them. Imagine them facing Pays and Delight. Guys, Pays and Delight just took out the best bot lane perceived in the world. And they actually did it really convincingly. You remember it was game 3. Remember in game 3? Remember when people were like, or when the casters were like, wait, why is Jinx alone? Remember when Chovy Lysandra clawed over the wall and he ultimately killed him? Remember what Delight did? Delight saw he was doing that, and Rakan flash charmed him so he can't obviously go to his ADC. Yeah. Okay, imagine just intense gameplay like that. Imagine that happening for Stixxay and Huhi. Guys, I'm not even kidding. I don't even care if Team 1 lost the finals. I like Genji. Obviously, I'm glad they won. I've been supporting them for a long time. Who factor in? T1 is above every single team coming from the LEC, LCS, who else? The PCS, the VCS too. Who factor in? If Genji's the best team going in, I don't think maybe they're the best team. crazy.
I think it's still T1, but I think is where when the light shines brightest, Gen.G is good. Every other time, Gen.G looks like absolute dog water.
Gen.G play their style like very well because T1 style is all about early game skirmishes and getting skirmishes with their early game champions and having it favor them.
Because that early match with Gen.G T1, that was kind of like, okay, Gen.G just.
What's also super disrespectful about that finals is them giving the MVP to Pays. I think Pays played great, but Doran played out of his mind. Like I think Doran's that good, but when Doran's playing on his games, I've said Doran literally like go back and watch the games, guys. His Gragas games were like, man, I was sitting here going like, bro, you are popping off hard. I just don't get why Pays got it. The reason why they were able to have as much map
they tend not to give it to I've looked. They tend not to give it to top laners and junglers.
Like
those are the top two.
I know people always say, "Well, you can't ever really tell if top lane's carrying a game or being the MVP." Literally, if they don't have that advantage without Doran, given how well he's playing last night. Though, like even on his Gnar game, he was still clapping Zay. And this is the thing with Zays too. Zays can look like one of the best top laners in the world, but when it comes to like finals matches, he's just like, you're just like, huh? What is it? I just don't get it with him, you know? Now, T1 obviously have lost, back-to-back finals games?
Yep.
MSI last year, Worlds last year, now this one. 3 finals in a row. Now, and people have to the only games, they had 5 of those in those finals with RNG. Every other series by Gen.G was 3-0. 3-1. This was supposed to be a series that everyone was like, yeah, T1 win it. They just go to MSI. But even if like I said, even if T1 are second place, they're about to just smack every single other team anyway. Their only other competition would be whoever wins the LPL, and obviously Gen.G themselves. Because why is T1 worried about Golden Guardians? Why would T1 be worried about Cloud9? Like the floor of T1 is so much higher than the other teams' ceiling. It doesn't really matter, honestly. This is how good Korean teams usually are. But yeah, man, what do you think about other things that have happened? So there's other things to go over, guys. But we'll just keep talking for a little bit and then to cover like some of the main stuff later on. What's up, Intensive? Juvenile, what's up, man? Watch the fraud Papa Smithy buying Golden Guardians players and call it a scout. Oh God!
Like I said, man, don't be surprised if Gore gets poached off and replaces
poached off.
Hey, man.
Oh Lord!
Hey, if Menace, has a breakdown or something, don't be surprised if Jensen, walks back through one last time. Because I think Jensen's retiring too, man. I think Jensen got one more year left and he's retiring.
So this is another thing that ended up happening yesterday. Oh, so it happened before the finals. Was that FlyQuest announced on their social media with Papa Smithy and the other guy was that, they were going to be putting back in Winsome. And you could also tell during the series against Golden Guardians yesterday that they did look better with Winsome, like most people said they would. But, but the bigger problem is he's already come in so late, It
was just too late. They should have it 2 weeks ago.
It kind of felt like that they got their groove back with him, but it was so late that there was nothing that they could really build on through. Like, they probably scrimmed with Ayla more and realized, man, this guy is just straight up trash.
They took all the synergy once he left, and then when they tried to reignite it didn't work. Because it's like, why didn't you just leave him in the first place? It's like,
right, yeah.
On a fucking streak.
Prince played better yesterday with Winsome. They laned better. They played better. They were actually pretty good together, but it's too late. How can Winsome rebuild his jungle mid synergy with Spica coming in, 24 hours late?
I don't know.
How can he build his mid jungle?
Whoever made that decision needs to be fired, because that was I know Ayla was your import, but it's like sometimes I've always said this. If I have a player that takes a while to come in,
what's up, K-Dot?
I'm looking at the main player, so okay, let me see how this guy works.
Mm-hmm.
If this guy works better than the other guy, I'm gonna keep the other guy in, even if we're paying this other guy money. It's one of those things where sometimes it's the players you have are the players you have, but the thing is, it's like if I'm already used to work with somebody, and they bring somebody new, and their synergy's not working, I'm like, just bring back the old person. It's like, in a sense, and they fucked themselves in the end because they shouldn't have been in the situation to have to be facing Odegaard. It should have been Fly. It should have been like FlyQuest should have been one first seed, like where they were. But it's just one of those things where it's like you go from first place, first half split to missing emphasize. It's like, okay, somebody in the management have to get fired. Whoever made that decision to bring in Ayla to the Winston needs to be let go. Because you, in a sense, fucked up your whole team's split, in a sense. And it's just one of those crazy things where, like, you have to look at it and be like, okay, we fucked up.
Yeah, so, okay. So I told people we're going to cover, like, all of this kind of games that happened, more or less so on Wednesday. But to go over FlyQuest, like, for me, and like I mentioned before, even when we were doing these shows earlier this year, talking about FlyQuest, I said, this team looks pretty good right now, looks pretty good for the most part, but there is very clear weaknesses this team has, especially early game. I mentioned their early game is really bad. And I just don't understand why other teams just weren't attacking it. The early game was almost non-existent. And they were essentially playing a way that didn't give them any chances of actually playing out an early game. But most teams, like the best teams in the world, have a defined way of they play an early game. Multiple reasons. There's many, many different ways to do it, right? And then when they actually brought in Ayla, because Speakout had always said they were losing scrims too. Speakout said they weren't doing that well in scrims either. And even before the split started earlier this year on our preseason power rankings, I even said this is a weirdly built roster. I didn't say it was going to be I didn't be like 10th or dog shit. And I wasn't being saying stupid shit like that. But I was like, the synergy here is not like, I knew Prince would be good because I saw Prince last year. I was like, okay, that's good. That's going to be their best ADC ever. They have that. Ayla looked good in Team Good Academy and did look good on the LCS games he did play pre. So I was like, okay, he might be one of those like sleeper supports that'll come up and be maybe the next best thing. He might just be like average at best, but that's better than what they had with Alphamu last year. In theory, that's what I meant. In theory, that's what I thought. Then you have Vikla. Vikla, I saw on KT roster, but he did look way better on KT last year. And judging from his KT form to the form he started with, you're like, okay, this is the guy that you thought would come over. But then he just declined over the split. His gameplay just got really bad. And then who was it? They had Jose Dioto last year. He was, a human being, I guess. And then after that, they had Spica now. And Spica, I said this about Spica last year. And what did I say when I was reading the show to you guys? He's not that good. I for sure did not think he was MVP when he got it. I think he's just an all right player. Is that an upgrade over Jose Dioto? Yeah. So that in theory is going to make your team stronger. They have a stronger jungler. And then Impact. Impact's always had success in the LCS, whether it be in the playoffs, regular season, so that's fine. So it's like you think they have a well-constructed roster, but then you started thinking about it. How does Spica's playstyle work with Impact's? It doesn't. How does two people speaking Korean have an impact on the FlyQuest route to the point where, Impact is Korean himself, so he can kind of I'll say translate, but get the information across, right? I just didn't think their roster was well put together, despite the names on paper showing otherwise, if that makes sense, right? That's why I don't know where I had them at. I think I had them at like 5th or 3rd or some shit like that. I think I had them somewhere in there. I knew they'd be like top 4. But I had a bad feeling about the roster in general. And when they started out good, I was like, okay, this is okay. But I always in the back of my head, I was like, I don't know about this. I'm not saying hindsight's 2020 because there's fucking streams to prove that I said these things. It's more like, could it have been more based off what was showed initially? That's what I'm trying to get at. I don't think the players on the roster have the synergy based off the players on the name. I think the names of the players give you a different idea of what the team should be. I don't think Speak and Impact have really good synergy. I think Vikla and Speak have bad synergy. But then, this is the thing. All that didn't matter when they had Winsome. They had Winsome. And you're like, this looks kind of a well-oiled machine. Their team fighting was really good. It looked like they knew when to play around dragons better. They knew when to go to Rift Herald more often. They knew when to play off their advantages a lot better, right? Because it was shown yesterday in the FlyQuest series against Golden Guardians, Winsome is better. It was very clearly shown he's better. So I'm thinking to myself, the FlyQuest roster with this kind of style only works with Winsome or a player that is willing to play all for Prince and willing to actually help speak it out in the early game. That's the best way of explaining it. I'm not saying that no other support player can play this specific style, but the problem here is we know for sure that Ayla can't do it. And I don't know what Ayla is trying to do in lane with Prince. That you could tell the bot lane synergy is just completely off with these guys. It's just pretty bad. What do you think, man? Because FlyQuest season is over, so we will not be seeing them. Fuck my pussy. We will not see FlyQuest until June.
Summer. Yeah, June.
Yeah,
June. Yeah. Dude, this. I was rooting for FlyQuest too. I'm like, shit.
I predicted Golden Guardians. I did do that. I was like, hey, man, these guys are playing too bad right now. Now, I thought I was screwed when they announced that they were going to be putting back in Winsome.
I said FlyQuest 3-2, but I saw it game 5. I was like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. I was like, holy fuck us. I know Golden Guardians is the second best team, but they don't look like the second best team. And no offense, the whole LCS is kind of bad right now. I'm not gonna lie. It's like it's too unpredictable, and that's the bad thing. It's like, of course, you knew Cloud9, but it's like Cloud9 still had their issues, and the issues right in the mid lane. It's like you can't put a menace on certain champions. He just looks like dog shit. It's like, okay. It's like FlyQuest being out is just like, it's like, why didn't you put Winsome 2 weeks earlier? It's like, fuck. It's just like, shit. It just sitting there like, this is not good. It's like, they like see, it's just one thing where you look at it and you're like, shit. If they would have just adjusted earlier, they could have beat Golden Guardians. Golden Guardians.
I told you about these GMs just making bad decisions, you know?
Fuck.
Remember, I told you these guys make really bad decisions. If you can give him Menace games, like anyone's watching, we're not saying you can't give him games, but after you gave him, let's say about 3 to 4 games, and you knew it wasn't working out, and it wasn't ever going to be what the Winsome FlyQuest roster looked like, you just put Winsome back in. And you tell Ayla, hey, when you obviously, improve on certain things we need out of you, then you can play on the main roster again. Because they just looked, unless they just specifically didn't like playing with Ayla, because it kind of looked like that. It didn't look like they even liked playing with him, nor enjoying interacting with him in the game. It just looked like they just function better with Winsome, And it's not to say these guys hate each other or anything like that. It's more like some people just like each other in different ways, Because people factor in these guys talking solo. It's not like these guys talk to each other, These guys obviously there's certain cliques among the pro scene, and I think the general consensus was that obviously even when Ayla was dominating LCS Academy, was that he still wasn't good, Maybe they were seeing an angle of Ayla that other people weren't, and they were like, hey, I don't know if this guy could really hack it on a roster. But if you're trying to bring Prince over and you already got him comfortable with Winsome, it's better to just keep playing with Winsome. And then maybe when you've gotten off time before the summer split to build up synergy, together, then you simply just do it with Ayla at that point, I don't know anymore, man. These GMs are just so fucking bad at their job.
Yeah, because what it does is it kind of takes the enjoyment I watch of the game, knowing that if these guys would have just made a better decision, like a few weeks earlier, the LCS would look a lot different now. It's like, holy shit.
Yeah, because also another thing with FlyQuest that I've noticed is it's not just for a lot of teams the drafting is bad. Some of the drafting is just straight up abysmal. Taking certain champions on certain parts of the rotation when these guys were not good at that. It's not even more like being good. It's more like none of these guys can play anything flexible at all besides like impact. And if you put impact on one of those champions, it's like, well, you just lessened your chance of winning by like, I don't know, 1,000% because, well, that's going to leave your team with less damage, you know? Like Spica on Sejuani looks way not impactful than Spica on someone like Wukong, you know? Or like yesterday, remember the games when he played on Elise? Those are horrible. Yeah. Those are horrible. He played Elise pretty bad. Yeah, like, so he can't play Elise to a certain extent that's going to give his team an advantage. And it's just one of those things where I think someone on Twitter, they were like, well, what does FlyQuest do? For Summer Split, do you just play Winsome again fully? Yes, obviously. You know, they finished 3rd place in the split. They realistically, in theory, should have still had a chance to go to MSI if they had kind of subbed him in sooner, you know? It's just bad gymming from these managers, you know? And then, like, we're even telling these people, put Winsome back in. Ayla is bad. Ayla is visibly bad, you know? Xerxes also announced that he's not going to be playing for Excel, I think yesterday. Yeah, we could have told them that. I could have told you that for free. Like, they just now got rid of Xerxes after Xerxes played in that winter split and showed how bad he was. Oh, these LCS orgs, man. They're killing me. They're killing me, guys. You know, and speaking about the LCS, so people have been talking about, like, the health, the ecosystem of the LCS. So the reason why I can't break all this stuff down now is because we'd be here for, like, hours, guys. Literally hours. Because there's not just one thing with esports to break down. There's multiple different things that have this trickle effect from the very top all the way to the bottom. Now, do I think the LCS will eventually die? I don't think Riot will let that happen because first of all, Riot's owned by Tencent. They could just dump money into the LCS to keep it going. They could obviously find potential buyers to join, though the potential buyers would have to not pay that big $12 million fee. They would probably be a less fee to join in now compared to back when it was. So no, I think we'll still have the LCS. Will the viewership be there?
I don't think so.
After the split, it just, like I said before, when we had James on, it's just stagnant. It's not going to get better. The only way it's going to get better is if, the in theory way I have is through how the LCS used to be, but that's more like internally, and that could, I don't say that's a bad thing. That could honestly be really, really good for the LCS. The thing here is NA has never done well internationally. That's the thing. People really undermine how bad that is. North America, literally just outside of Cloud9 at Worlds, I'm talking about MSI with TL and CLG. At Worlds specifically, it's just been Cloud9. Okay? Cloud9 can only do so much. Everybody already knows Cloud9's the only hope for NA, right? Everyone knows that. But that can only go so far. That can only do so much. So you're basically just saying, without saying, this is just a one-team region, you know? And do people not understand how much of an impact that's going to have? Because I know James brought up the fact that casuals won't know. That's just not true. That's just factually wrong. Because a casual person is not so stupid that they can see that NA loses every year. That's not, you don't have to be a casual to understand that. That's just results itself. That's just results itself.
I mean, casual won't know that the LCS is the fourth best thing. They only know that, you know, there's a hierarchy on who's the best.
Yes,
but they won't know all the.
See NA teams knocked out of groups, knocked out in tiebreakers, not getting to playoffs outside of obviously Cloud9.
Yeah,
you're gonna remember that. I'm saying that this is like you could come in this year, probably watch MSI and Worlds this year and understand how bad the LCS really is. I mean, expert. It's just
you because you can look at it from an optimistic standpoint. Just say, all right, cool, we're good, but not compared to these other teams. I mean, it depends on how you look at it.
Yeah, but people
that's the same thing.
Like with the majority of fans outside of the casuals that do watch all these other guys, they don't care about that. You need to show. To them, you need to show results. That's just how it works.
Yeah, so all right, cool. We always lose, but then you can look at it. Oh, LEC loses the same thing. That's the same thing. That's like I said. It's always going to come down to a T1, Gen G, JDG, EDG. Those are. You're guaranteed it's going to be a Chinese versus Korea. All right, cool. That's me. Like, okay, that's me. Even if you import players from there, it's the whole. It's like you got to import the whole team.
Because this is a fact. Like this, just factor this in, people. I want people to really think about this. I might make a longer, in-depth form video about this because I was kind of prepping that video already. I have to put the finishing touches on it because this was something that I was talking about in one of my Travis Gafford response videos, and I think someone said they wanted me to explain it more because I can't do it here because it's a lot of. It's mostly just me just going over my thoughts about the LCS since I've been watching versus now. What is the reason to watch this region knowing the other ones are better? You could literally not watch this, watch LCK and watch LPL, and you'd be fine. There is actually no reason to watch here other than the fact that you're obviously from America and you just like to support the region you're born in. There's no reason to watch this. Like, if this didn't exist, I could just watch LCK, LPL, and LEC, and I'd be just fine. Like, people really ask themselves that. If this didn't exist, would it really matter compared to the other three regions?
The other three regions, and then you can say the same thing about the other three regions. LCK is a two team region. LPL is too unpredictable, but you always know that you're going to see either EDG or JDG in the finals. That's predictable. LEC is a fucking shit show, but G2 always finds a way out of it. You can say the same thing about the whole single league, and that's the thing too. Is league's not the most popular esport anymore. I
think it's also born in what you thought because we're talking about the LEC. So to that one, because I think the LEC is still living off the glory days of G2 and Fnatic doing well at Worlds. Eventually, that's gonna wear off. People do that. Eventually, that's gonna wear off. Eventually, it will.
If I already did wear off, like
the thing here is that G2's that super team they had that did really well. That was only just recently. That wasn't that long ago. That was like 2020. It's only like less than 2 years ago. You know, Fnatic, I could say, yeah, I do agree that Fnatic hasn't done anything internationally since 2018 when they get to the finals, right? But people would remember, hey, at least this region made World Finals. Yeah, you're going to lose in it. Obviously, I'm expecting them to win. But making World Finals is actually a pretty incredible thing, you know, despite other external factors going into that. But I think that eventually is going to wear out because people are going to realize outside of Fnatic, who kind of got lucky in a lot of their scenarios too, it was literally just G2 carrying the region. But then again, that didn't stop, you know, people from thinking about the same thing about the LCK because people thought the same thing about the LCK. It was just SKT back in the day when they're called SKT. They're just a one, you know, team region, you know. I don't think it's the one team region thing. It's more like people just like seeing results, you know. Like 10 years of going to Worlds and LCS can only show that Cloud9 made top 4 at one of them and multiple top 8s and quarterfinals, obviously. Like, that's not going to be good enough for a lot of people, you know. And it's not just myself. It's like, but then you also, like you said, some people need to just temper their expectations too. And this is another side of the argument.
And some people just don't. And we got to realize a lot of these casuals don't care. It's like if a region's bad, it's like they look at it. No.
Brazil off of viewership. That region's terrible. Brazil is pretty bad, guys.
And think about it. They look at it from a game in general. You look at it like, damn, this game's kind of boring to watch, no matter who's playing. And that's the thing too. Like that's what it came down to. Why Valorant's numbers are not as high as people thought they were. It's like
what were they doing on Twitch? The Valorant numbers.
I think they were like 30,000, 40,000.
Because this is
low because
it's not just one thing. People forget there's. It's like what's the thing in school they teach about numbers like prime and composite numbers? It's a Venn diagram, right? It's like a Venn diagram with a lot of this stuff. It's a lot of issues here, a lot of issues in the middle, and a lot of issues over here. Some of them are more adjacent, but a lot of them are too separate from each other. So the CBLOL, as people know, has more viewers than the LCS. So what I see from that is it's not about regional success from that angle to them because everyone knows Brazil's bad. You guys, Brazil is pretty fucking bad. That's why it's called Bronzil. Brazil's horrible. What makes Brazil
plus after that, I think that that one person that got killed, that kind of like that kind of brought the spirit down.
So what do you have? Well, the personalities. What would make the LCS better is that the personalities made up for a lot of the viewership. Doublelift, Bjergsen, Sneaky, Meteos, Xmithy, you know, Jensen back in the day as well. A lot of like big names made their names here, Impact as well, made people want to watch. Well, who do you really have now that you can kind of attach yourself to? You know, because fans are more like they want to be attached to players. I've never really been about that because players could just interchange, you know. But yeah, people like being attached to people, you know. So if Brazil can get more viewers, it's not because Brazil's good. Brazil fucking stinks. So does Australia. Australia fucking stinks too. A lot of these regions fucking stink. It's the actual people that are. It's like WWE, you know. WWE is not great.
It's like all sports in general. It's like everybody has a player they align themselves to, and then
I gotta imagine when LeBron James is playing with the Lakers, viewership spikes for the NBA. I just don't imagine it would. You know, you have to the names in the scene, like the players themselves. So I think the broadcast did a pretty good job this split overall. I think the players have to not only just stream more. Like people just don't really know these guys. Like they know Double Lift and like Smithy back in the day. Like,
but then they also was marketing them in a sense where
Double Lift and Bjergsen streamed a lot. You know, there's specifically
plus Riot marketed them. Plus they won a lot. That's the thing too. When you win a lot, you get your name
they also
out there
won
more.
Back then when the LCS was so kind of small. They won pretty much a bulk of everything.
And then Riot always put their faces out there. All back-to-back winners.
And the client. Every YouTube video is about Double Lift and Bjergsen in some shape or fashion.
It's like with the NBA. It's like you knew who Kobe was. You knew who Shaq was. Yeah. You knew who LeBron James was. You knew who Tim Duncan. You knew who these guys were because they were always constantly winning. Or they're always close to winning. They're always there. It's like they were always, great at what they did. It's like now you look at it, it's like, all right, cool. You got
like who do you know that streams? Who do you know that streams outside of like the only people that I know that stream League is like a Menace. He actually streams pretty consistently.
A Menace.
Someday
does it when he can. Double Lift
does do it. Dokla does.
It's like,
but it's like Core JJ. Yeah, he streams. Core JJ.
Yeah, Core JJ. No, he streams a lot more than.
Yeah, well, he's gonna be on vacation for a bit.
Yeah.
Woo. Might be on vacation some next year too. Prince does stream. You know, it's like back in the because people keep harping on back in the day. Okay, people. Just because viewers were like that back in the day doesn't mean that was going to be a consistent thing year to year to year to year to year. I think people vastly are super disingenuous.
Every 5 years, around every 5 years, new people come into like the market of anything.
And also, what happens every 5 years, dude? New things in general pop up and take interest away. You know, like, what's that argument you keep hearing people have? Well, CLG and TSM used to have a 500K viewership for a game on the LCS. Guys, if you actually thought that was going to be a consistent thing year to year to year, that's ridiculous.
I mean, if it was
a regular season game,
if it was consistent at one point, there's no reason that you should think that, but it's not the most logical thing. Because the biggest thing people have to realize is like look at the the age of people watching the content, watching the league.
Yeah, because the fan base, even I can attest to myself. Everyone was a lot younger back then, guys. Back in like 2015, when people talk about they had that viewership. Guys, us 5 years ago, was it 8 years ago?
8 years ago, you were about
20 years old.
Yeah, you about 21. Yeah. I would have been 24 if I was watching. And then if you think about it, it's like
everyone's
NBA.
just got older. They have different priorities now. Back then, guys, I could sit down and watch a game because I had nothing else to do besides work and come home.
Think about this. It's not like NBA games are only reaching like 6 million people. It's like, oh, why is that? Because like the games are now in the pack because you watch clips. It's better back in the day. The only clips you were able to get was ESPN. It's like you get so much access to the content and the people. That's what you
mentioned earlier. Remember, things change year to year, guys, and you understand. You yourself change. You yourself make different life choices that may just take you away from watching. I was watching this girl.
You might like a team. You might like a player. That player moves. You start looking at the team he's on. It's like with Double Lift. If you're a fan of Double Lift, you're gonna like whatever team he's on. You're gonna like him. Mm-hmm. That's the same too. It's like it's the same thing with Jensen. That's why.
Mm-hmm. It's like, no, I get it for people. There are some people who stick with one org. Like that's just my traditional sports kind of thing. I just pick a place. I just kind of stick there, But other people are like that. Yeah. Esports is just a bit different. Esports are really based around, hey, I like this guy. Kind of just follow this guy. The reason why I never did that specifically is because this guy's on my team. I had to kind of realize, wait, he's going to be gone eventually. I'm just going to treat him just cool. I'm going to just be a fan of him.
Yeah, I realize You know why?
Everything is forever.
No. I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why. Because people have the same. Because a lot of the people who are fans of this usually are fans of another sport, and then they come into this most of the time, not all the time. Because you gotta think about it. Same. Like Kobe was on the same team for 20 years. Tim Duncan was on the same team for 20 years. Dirk, Shaq was it, but it's like, where did Shaq have most of his accomplishments? Lakers. That's how a lot of people became fans of it.
Fan of like orgs that win.
Yeah, and then it depends on what time they become. It's like, think about if someone asked me why am I a fan of one of the seasons, because I started watching them not for Elite, for Call of Duty and Call of Duty, Valorant, and CS:GO. It's like, and I was like, okay, plus other things. It's like, okay, of course I became a fan of them, and then they won last year, or not last year, the year before. It's like a lot of times you develop an attachment. It's like, plus, like, I was able, because I've hung out in Call of Duty lobbies and CS:GO lobbies when they shot. That's why I was like, I was trash. But, like, I was only good at like sniper. It was like sniper and like handguns. I was kind of trash, because I had a shit system back then. But it's like, you have that, you have those players or you have those people that develop like an attachment to our players. Like, okay, cool. And now it's different because people, like, they like a team, they like a player. It's like imagine now that there might be people who are fans of CLG who might just leave. It's like, oh, okay, CLG are gone. All right, cool, peace. It's like there might be people who are fans of Misfit Gaming and LEC. Once they left, do you start liking a team that acquired this spot, or do you just leave?
Well, you're talking about there's too much volatility. There's not enough stability. There's not stability because, like, if let's say you like a team, I don't know how or why. Let's say you like Dignitas. Well, if Dignitas, if anyone knows some semblance of what esports is, at some point if they don't win, they won't get enough money, or they don't probably have money. They're eventually going to leave. So, like, esports is kind of a thing where it's tricky each year based off stability around the scene versus also it's super unpredictable as well. Like people who like Rogue. Remember people who like Rogue? How do people actually know that Rogue is coy now? You probably just, a lot of people would like Rogue probably stop watching because fuck. You think your favorite team's gone?
Trust me. I would have bought a jersey for Rogue if I didn't realize. And then I was like, oh yeah, now Kobe Game's trash. I'm like, yeah, I ain't fucking with them. Like, cause that would have been my team for LEC if they didn't change the whole thing. That would have been my team, Rogue. Cause I saw they played last year. I was like, okay, now this team looks badass. Hell yeah, I fucks with them. But that's how that shit goes. It's like you can't look at the teams that either win at the moment you join in. Cause that's the thing too. Like, think about it. Like, you're because that's the thing too. You always gotta ask somebody why they're a favorite team. Cause you're a fan of Philadelphia Eagles, but you live in California. How, like, you know what I'm saying? How?
Because I was a fan of Michael Vick.
Okay.
For his thing,
Okay,
one of the football players I had ever seen in my more.
Did you ever watch him when he played? Did you ever watch him play for the Atlanta Falcons?
No. Because when I was watching sports, the only games we could see was when you were going to my grandma's house, or we would watch them at like Sizzler, this diner back in town. It was when I was in junior high, I was like in 8th grade. I was watching him play. He was the biggest guy they were promoting at the time. So I was like, oh god, this guy's fucking pretty good. And then he had his,
That was after. No,
was it after or before?
He went to Philadelphia after he got out of jail.
Yeah. So he was still playing good from what I remember. It was after that Packers series. After that Packers series where they lost to the Packers, where the Packers went to the finals that year. I think he was never as good. That was his last really good year. Cause
I watched him when he was on the Falcons. This motherfucker was a beast.
Yeah, he's still considered today still one of the best running quarterbacks ever.
Yeah, ever. Yeah, easily.
It was amazing because let's understand, quarterbacks usually just kind of fall back and just throw the ball to the best person. Michael Vick was like, "Nah, I'm just gonna do it myself." And I mean,
and the thing about it, he got hurt
too.
And the thing about he got his blueprint from Steve Young and Randall Cunningham. That's how I knew. That's how I became a fan of Michael Vick.
Because as a quarterback, the reason why your coach says not to run is because you can get injured if you injure yourself. Your arm
unless you outrun the motherfuckers. This motherfucker just outran everybody. You look up. This motherfucker is 30 yards down the field.
Like, if you can't do it, I'm gonna do it myself. You gotta respect that at least. You're just like, okay,
The only thing he couldn't dodge was the cops.
I hate you. Dodge them. And then there was a certain point of his career where he started like throwing the ball and fumbling on himself. I was like, okay, you're
oh no, he was doing that in Atlanta. But
I'm like, bro,
it got worse. It got worse. It got worse in Philly because he lost 2.5 years. It was like, and then people were like, "Oh my God, how you let him out?" Because and this how you knew motherfuckers care more about some stinking dogs than humans. I'm like, man, fuck them dogs. If Michael Vick would have killed somebody, y'all would have like, oh, give him another chance. But he killed a dog. He didn't even kill dogs. He held a dog fighting ring at his house, locked him up. They wanted him in jail for 30 years. I'm like, for some fucking dogs? Get the fuck out of here. But that's a whole nother podcast. Shit, man, I could do like a 3-hour round that alone. Like, but yeah, you have it's like now with the marketing, you don't have like
who does the LCS market now as we go to the next thing, which is Bjergsen is just leaving esports. He's technically retired again. This is like he had technically second retirement. He retired before after he went and got fisted at Worlds with Double Lift.
But at least he was coaching. This felt like he was
okay. So we talked about this before I guess I say went on my vacation for my main channel. Was that he mentioned something in his retirement, the second retirement video that went along the lines of he met people that he really did enjoy in League and this scene, but that he felt like he didn't have any friendships outside of this, but he made friendships in this. So
but he had no identity outside of League. I rewatched that. He had no identity outside of League. Everything about him was tied to League. He didn't mind making friends in League, but it was like most of them were in League. He had no friends. Once he left the League scene, who else would he hang out with? Because Double Lift was mostly in the League scene. Sneaky, Medio, Aframu, whoever was mostly in the League scene. Once you leave the League scene, it's like trust me, it's like once I left my groups, I didn't really hang out with any of those people anymore. We were cool, but we never hung out outside of. It was like once I left that like D&D group I was part of. I didn't hang out. The people had my numbers. I had their number. I contacted them. They want to hit me up. We just never hung out once because we would hang out.
That'll happen? You think that because he said he's not going to be going into streaming. He said he's not going to be going.
I think he's just trying to find his identity because don't forget he did say that he was a little, on the edge when he was younger. Don't forget he said he was on the edge when he was younger.
No, I know that. I know that stuff. He's been public with that stuff for years.
Yeah, it's like I think he's just trying to find identity outside of the League because when you have something like that attached to you for so long, you're just trying to find who you are. It's like It's like when people leave Yu-Gi-Oh! And then don't come back. I know people who left Yu-Gi-Oh! And never came back, and they said they felt a lot better. They had more money because now they're not spending. It's like I know a guy who went.
Man, with Bjergsen and League is that you figured out. It's not even just grinding toward one goal. It's scrims, day-to-day prep, stage games. If you actually make the playoffs, you play in more games. Then if you go to the furthest part, which is finals, more games. After that, go to MSI. You scrim more teams, more stage games, rinse, wash, repeat, scrims, stage games, practice, solo queue, streaming here and there. Doesn't really leave you much time for a social life. Now, people factor in doing that for a year probably sounds like you're crazy. No, Bjergsen has been doing that since like 2013. That's literally been 10 years. Scrims, solo queue. They're going to come back and Bjergsen's been to Worlds multiple times. Now, if I'm just going to the finals in both splits or even making playoffs, it's also if you go to Worlds each year, scrims, solo queue, practicing its teams, team environments, team activities, all this stuff. You know, I can fully understand why he wants to just leave the esports scene in general, and also it's not just leaving the esports team; it's leaving the LCS too. You know, he is still going to be considered one of the best LCS players of all time. And I told you before, he was really good at a certain point. I even said it before. He was really good at a certain point. I do think people overrate how good he was, but I will never say he was bad. It was the king of the LCS, you know, and I will always remember watching his great games fondly. He was there's this times in the LCS when you're watching Bjergsen back in the day where it's like, bro, it's like, what else can you do against this guy? You know, he's just this good, you know. But like the pill, when you get new mid laners in the league and other teams get formed and other things just change, he wasn't going to be as good. But that's not to ever understate how good he was at a certain point. You know, now people started ripping on him more because TSM was always in drama. I think that's a weird straw man to have. I think people understood to separate those two because people did say that he was really good while TSM had all this drama surrounding him. I don't think it was the TSM drama that made it worse. I think the TSM drama when he failed on TSM just made it a lot more better for him, you know. But for Bjergsen, yeah, I mean, him retiring is great. I mean, I got my pictures with him. That's fine. You know, I've met him before. It's all the things best to do, you know? Because what else does he have to accomplish, though? He's won the most titles of any player, like, ever outside of, like, Double Lift and Nick Smithy. He's been to Worlds a lot. He had the only TSM roster ever to get out of a group stage back in, like, 2014. That's an accomplishment in and of itself. To a certain degree. It's another different story from another day. They technically won an international event that was also kind of jank. I mean, he's kind of done everything. He's been to MSI multiple times. He's won a lot of trophies. It's like he can look back on his career pretty fondly. He did what he always wanted to do, coaching, you know, or something that he wanted to do, which was coaching. You know, he's literally a millionaire. He's filthy rich. He can literally do anything he wants now, you know. I think it's a career he can look back on and go, yeah, I had a pretty good one, you know. There's going to be regrets, obviously, like from a lot of different cases with certain teammates he should have chosen. And just the amount of impact he had on TSM, I think he's going to look back and go, I could have got much more than what I was given, and I was still able to perform that well, you know? So we also had the thing about, well, this is another thing, is that we've been hearing a lot of teams, more than half of the LCS teams want out of the LCS too. This is something I'll do more of a video about, but this is kind of like the preview of what the video is going to be. Is outside of stability, what does franchising actually offer people that pay in this lump sum of millions of dollars? Beside sponsors, seeing a stabilized scene, beside just the stability factor, you know? I don't mind the franchising angle. I just don't know what it really gives people outside of just those two specific things. Remember, guys? Because in LA, where a lot of these teams are based in, LA, I don't know if you guys know this or you've been living under a rock, but LA is really expensive. Okay? There's a reason why I don't live out there. Because I'd be homeless and probably hung myself. So it's just how that works. You know? Like, I don't mind that the LCS studio is in LA because people say, why don't you just put it in Chicago? Guys, it's going to be the same issue. It doesn't really matter. Everywhere is expensive. First of all, permits to even get a... Have you tried knowing how to go into getting a building? Like, just keep this in mind.
Permits,
I know people online are like, what do you have it in LA? It doesn't matter, guys. It really doesn't. If they have it in San Francisco, they have it in Sacramento. If they had it literally in Chicago, if they had it in Connecticut, it doesn't matter. Everything costs a shitload of money. It would be the same.
Depending on where Connecticut, because certain parts of Connecticut
you get tax breaks. You know they have it in Stanford.
I swear to God, for the Stanford, them motherfuckers be broke for 3 years.
That's why I told people, even if you move it to a different place, it doesn't really matter though. And then, so pure back train, what about a small state like intensive state, New Jersey? There's not enough people there. You wouldn't sell out probably like maybe 20 seats. That's the problem.
New Jersey's hard to get to too, because it's like it depends on what part of New Jersey too.
Remember, also where you kind of want to have enough people that can go and fill out these seats too, right? It's not just
Los Angeles. And there's only like 2 cities that actually work: New York and Los Angeles. Chicago,
in theory, could work, but that's gonna
Chicago work. No, Chicago worked for the finals, like how they did it in Raleigh, North Carolina. It worked for that, but it doesn't work as an actress. There's only 2 cities like a whole like.
And doesn't New York have the same almost? I mean, LA has pretty bad crime rates too, so it's not the crime rates they're looking at.
New York crime. If you put it in Manhattan, you're good, but now you're dealing with a tax a state tax that'll run a motherfucker out.
Yeah, California. I can understand why people say the tax in California are pretty bad, but guys, it's gonna almost equivalent to the same thing. Permits you have to pay for, licensing fees. That sign you see in buildings where it says like you can only this many people can occupy, even though no one gives a fuck about that. That costs money to have in your building. Like guys, it would equivalent.
And plus, also, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. If I'm right, I would make two: the small stadium and then the big stadium. Don't have beef. Don't be having. Okay, let's have a regular in Los Angeles and then move to Raleigh, North Carolina. No, fuck that. What you need to do is you have it in Los Angeles and then bring it to Crypto.com stadium. That dumbass name. Bring it. Don't fly from Los Arena. Don't fly from Los Angeles to North Carolina. If you're going to do it in Los Angeles, you keep it in Los Angeles.
We talked about that with Worlds too. Too many moving spots.
Like to me, Worlds
the finals is fine.
Worlds should have been 3 spots. The first 2 rounds should have been New York, and then the second 2 rounds should have been Atlanta, and the final weekend. That finals weekend should have been San Fran.
How much do people think it costs to rent out that fucking stadium in LA? That really was so help the LA state that fucking stadium that was at the World's Finals last year. It's
really San Fran?
Yeah, it's that one big stadium that everyone goes to for all everything. How much do you think guys it costs to rent out that stadium?
I'm gonna tell you right now, renting out Madison Square Garden, that's renting out Madison Square Garden.
And this company wants to hop from city to city to city in the biggest stadium.
You did 2 weeks in Madison Square Garden. You know how much that cost? You know how much James Jones gonna run you up for a bill?
That's the thing. And if people are saying that Riot spends too much money, yeah, they do. They don't have to. I don't mind other people, like, let's say they go to your state ever. I don't mind if other people get a chance to watch League. But to realistically think about it, if you're going to spend that much money, why not just go from play World's group stage and quarterfinals in the same place? Then if you're doing semis and finals, I could understand jumping from
semis to finals should be, this was the group stage in like that first set of rounds should be in one area. The quarterfinals or what is it? I'm trying to see. Okay. How does finals work again? You got the group stage, right?
No, it goes group stage, then quarters, semis, and finals.
Okay, I would not fact. Okay. I would do group stage, quarters, in New York, and then San Fran would have been semis and finals. I wouldn't have done Atlanta.
On the East Coast side last year, it was for the Genji DRX series and the JDGT1 one. Where were they at? Like Alabama or some shit?
No, Atlanta. They went from New York to Atlanta.
Fuck.
No.
LCS there.
Atlanta's not as bad. It's just fucking chaotic because you got CNN right there and the CDC. If anything goes wrong, the whole city gets fucking locked down. But
the thing here is like if you put it in a small city like that, you're also worried about attendance numbers and
attendance numbers gonna be low because the issue with New Jersey is getting to Connecticut. That's the easier getting to New Jersey because New Jersey you gotta take because all you gotta do with Connecticut is get to Penn Station to get to Grand Central, and then if you have it at Stanford, all you gotta do is take the Metro North up. You take the Metro North up. Like from Grand Central to like Stanford, you're right there. You get off, you walk down the street. They're more likely going to have it either downtown or on.
Yes, in North Dakota. You're trying to get everybody shot. Fuck.
North Dakota is like, how the fuck you like motherfuckers going to have to drive from like Minnesota?
Yeah, and then it's not just all of this. It's not all of this. Like, what's the word? The L word. Logistics. Yeah, it's not all of the logistics either. It's also telling your owners that paid you millions and millions of dollars to be in these franchise slots. Hey, we're gonna move the studio, and it's gonna be in a city with less people, so there might be less people coming to watch the games. It's like, bro, that is not gonna go very well with people. Unless it's the place you mentioned, which is New York or Chicago, and that's it.
This is what it needs to be. It needs to be just in LA. You have the what was it for the LCS or the LCS playoffs. You have everything up to about this weekend, right? And then this weekend, matter of fact, not even just this weekend. This weekend plus last weekend should be at like the LA arena. You know, one of those not massive, like even Staples Center or whatever they call it now, crypto.com. That's trash. That's such a trash name. You don't have to move from city to city. You just move from area to area. Because when you have to bring the servers from Los Angeles to New York to Atlanta back to San Fran, that's a nightmare. Because if something gets lost, you are screwed. Where's it go? Get food? It's like, if you think about it.
Oh, sorry about that. Dog was fucking crying outside. Like,
think about it. They went from Los Angeles to New York to Atlanta back to San Fran. It's like, you didn't need to do that. You didn't. No, sorry. It was Chicago, then Los Angeles, then New York, then Atlanta, because they did the finals in Chicago. It's like, you don't need to go to all these cities. What you need to do is you have it in Los Angeles. Always keep it in Los Angeles. I know it's fucked up, but it's like,
because this is what I'm thinking about. What I'm thinking about when people keep saying, why is it in LA? And because I know there's a lot more popular people than us. They're bringing up, why is it in LA and all this sort of stuff. Guys, it's gonna equivalent to the same thing. Things cost an arm and a leg nowadays, no matter where you live, almost essentially, even in the cheapest states possible. Then go to a cheaper state with less people. Seats don't sell out. Tell the owners that's not gonna go very well with them. They would definitely leave then. Tell owners you're gonna be in a city with more people, they're leaving.
And some of those cheaper states are kind of hard to get to.
Right. Then you also factor in, since things cost so much, we could potentially screw the LCS in general, less people and all our bigger owners leave. No, that just can't work. That's why I said it's also bad in LA too, because, crime rates, California is also an arm and a leg to be in.
The thing with Los Angeles is the crime rate is in like 3 majority areas. In their areas, you'll never have this thing at. Because if you go downtown Los Angeles, that's not where the crime rate's at. The crime rate, they know where the crime rate is in Los Angeles. Compton, South Central, and fucking Watts. Like you don't go to Los Angeles. There's not gonna be anybody go to Los Angeles. So it's like, oh yeah, let's go to Compton today. Like what? Nigga, what? You going where?
I'm like, you can go by yourself. Goodbye.
No, like, what? That's like your motherfuckers come to New York and say, oh, let's go to South Bronx.
Texas is fine too. Like, as long as like Austin. Like Austin is fine. It's big.
Texas might actually work because
like I'm talking about. It has to be like a city like LA, but it's still gonna.
You need a city big enough where you can do the whole tournament in 2 different venues in the same city. Because
I also wondered, why can't you do the actual spring finals at the arena? That would sell out for sure.
I want to do that at the actual arena because you want more people.
Oh no, yeah.
This is why I say you do it at the I forgot. Not the crypto.com. You can do that crypto.com, but then you gotta see if the Lakers or Clippers are playing. If they're playing that weekend, they get priority over anything. I remember a year Drake got priority over the WNBA team that played that. Drake got priority for a concert in a visitor stadium over the WNBA team. Like that's it's like.
And also the thing with going to the East Coast is, it is technically better. The servers are in Chicago. People are thinking the servers are on the East Coast because, fun fact, guys, there's more people that live on the East Coast than they do actually on the West Coast. It's actually a factual, proven statement. But the thing here is, would people turn out for the LCS? Because there's too many logistical problems. I'd rather than just keep the studio where it's at. There's way too many issues that go into moving a building, permits, all that shit.
How many people could fit into the LCS studio?
Like 100 people.
Nah, 100 people for a finals? Get the fuck out of here. That's way too fucking low, man.
Yeah.
Man, you want at least 10,000.
Now,
you want at least 10,000.
Let's go over.
I'm just gonna think about this: $10,000 at $40 a pop.
Remember, guys,
that's $40,000
out. If Riot is renting out these like stadiums and stuff like that, they have these things to sell out. They're not paying this.
How much do these final tickets cost too? How much for the whole weekend?
I don't know, honestly. I've never actually bought final tickets before. I think they're like, yeah, they're pretty penny. I would say
about double, triple digits, quadruple digits.
I would say it would run you at least in the hundreds, actually.
Shit, that's what about.
You're going to a final stadium. This isn't like fucking. I'm going to a studio.
That's what I'm saying. That's why you don't want to final in the studio. I mean, unless you're in like Brazil, where you don't want to go to those bigger stadiums, because then that's when motherfuckers get robbed at. Because they'll catch you coming outside, and if you if you park your car on the other side of the thing, you gotta walk through the alleyway.
Remember, that's in LA too. You park your car somewhere, you might have the whole battery taken. It's like, well, what the fuck?
Or in some cases, you have to walk through an alleyway like Batman's parents and have somebody come out there and mug you. No, that's what happens in Brazil a lot of times. If you have your car parked on the other side of the thing and you walked along and you walked around, but sometimes that entrance gets closed off. You gotta walk for the shortcut. The shortcut's for an alleyway. And you don't know who's around these corners, ready to rob you. That's the fucked up thing about it.
I'm screwed until this Friday coming up. This Friday night, more specifically.
8:50 p.m.
Yeah, we're screwed until then. Now, people have mentioned that 100 Thieves and Dignitas wanted out of the LCS. So I'm trying to find where that came from.
It's a rumor. It's a rumor on Reddit. The 100 Thieves thing came from the whole thing with Bjergsen, plus they're more invested in Valorant. I was like, no, I mean, because Valorant is easier because you could
TSM to leave LCS, ongoing rumors.
Because if you think about Valorant, think about in a year, Disguised Toast made a team. Boys Esports came up with a team. Man, you know how easy it is to make a team in Valorant.
Also, less the money cost. Perfectorant, it's not just the money cost itself. It's like, Perfectorant, what are you doing when you pay these esport employees? Not only just the salary, if you have these guys on pretty high contracts, it's so much stuff, and people got to understand when you're in league, league is a huge investment for potentially very little payoff, only for some bitch-made pussy-ass fan to go, why do you spend your hard-earned money on the best player so I can watch a video game? You know? and that's when Nate Shot got a little... I agree with his take back then. I was watching one of his streams. He was like, people be getting mad at us for not doing well, but it's like you got to spend an arm and a leg for some of these players, only to potentially may not win anything. Then for that fan to just bitch and moan at you, shit is fucked in this scene, guys. I'm not gonna kidding, shit is really fucked. Now there's a rumor that a lot of these LCS teams want to sell, more than half. So Cloud9 and TL for sure won't be going anywhere. They're here for life, literally. TSM we don't know. Like TSM is pretty up in the air, honestly. Because remember that double fucking hell. I read Reginald post when he said TSM is committed to esports. He didn't say LCS. Remember? He didn't say the LCS. He said TSM is committed to esports. Now, I don't think TSM would leave just league though. I don't know. I mean, anything's possible, guys. Anything really is possible now when it's come to, maybe people just see there's just minimal return coming to the scene. Right here. This was April 8th when you sent me that video too. All right, so we're gonna go over it right now. Okay, let's do this right here. Share audio. We're gonna go over the video right now that chat sent me yesterday. Thought I'd save it for today. So LCS EV made this tweet. Rumor: more than half of the LCS teams considering selling their spot. That's 1.3 million views on this. Fucking crazy. It's not exactly a new rumor, but still felt like posting it just to inform. Wow. Okay, I'm trying to go through some of this stuff. Venture capitalist money. Yeah, look how that's going for a lot of these teams now. Hard to draw in viewers when the content isn't great and the biggest personality is a guy who just came back to playing this split. I mean, the viewership numbers were about not even close to that when he was still playing too, but, fair enough, I guess. As a fan since the league started, this is well-deserved. They dropped the ball big time, okay? With that weekly shit schedule, half of these teams are way lower than expected. If the league really died, what do you think the players would do? They would go and live like normal human beings, like we all do. That's what happened. I mean, what else would they do? Jump up, like I don't know what you do, honestly. Honestly, this might not be as bad as it could be. LCS is fine as a whole, but there might need to be a drain. Refill rosters with talent, not demanding bloated salaries. Rebuild the league. I don't think LCS will die, but it will definitely be turbulent. Yeah, that's my thing too. Because I'll cover all this stuff later on. It's just
no more than one import player per team.
Yeah, and it's the thing with like
from the same region. That's me. It's like, in my opinion, because these motherfuckers out here. It's like, okay, let's get a whole Korean team and it flop. Think about the two teams are the whole Korean team were supposed to be the number one, number two teams, and where the fuck are they now? It's like you look at that shit, you're like, oh shit. It's like one to even make the playoffs. That was like, yeah, and that crazy shit.
All right, so here was this video you sent. Even 100 Thieves wants out. Okay, let's go over this. For a guy that's good, he puts out some pretty good videos.
Oh man, what is happening to the LCS? Firstly, I have to begin this with the biggest announcement of the day, and that is Bjergsen's retirement. Hailing from EU West, Bjerg says in his farewell video that while League has been his center of focus for about half his life, it's time to move on from League esports. He says he'll be taking a break and return eventually, but out of the capacity of esports. Maybe he'll stream or do content. To watch the full video, I've linked it in the description. I really recommend it for all that Bjerg has given to our game. Secondly, ex-world champion, now TL coach Marin, has been let go due to differing opinions and Marin's
gone from Team Liquid. Shocker.
Personal issues. I'm unsure what this means for the future of Marin. Thirdly, Maple's contract has been removed from TSM. That makes this the second player this week to depart from TSM, amid rumors the team is looking to leave the LCS. And in that same...
Yeah, they're about to suck without him. He was like literally their best player. Yeah. And actually, I think that's still a top 4 mid. They're about to bring out some fucking jank fucking mid laner. Holy shit.
In the same vein, 100 Thieves and Dignitas are rumored to be looking to sell their LCS slot. As mentioned...
All right, so who's that? Kevin Hit. We're gonna go. Okay, so rumors of 100 Thieves and Dignitas shopping LCS teams gets more real after seeing this. Okay. Has Nate Shot said anything about this? Anyone from 100?
Nah,
nothing.
I haven't seen any tweet about it.
Okay.
He's the only thing I see him say that he was happy that the guy did great that he did, because he wasn't even surprised. It was like he knew it was gonna be a rough split, but it was like.
Was Kevin Hit. Obviously, there's no confirmation yet, but with all this momentum and shifting from teams looking to leave the LCS, it could cause more concern for all those still involved and further shake things up. So, yeah, another suboptimal day for the LCS. What are your thoughts on the issue?
I wonder what the comments are going to be like. Well, it's probably all based in Bjergsen. At this rate, not even the LCS will want to be a part of the LCS. Okay. But a skeptic's view might say that's exactly what they want. Seems like a very sad end to where it all... Okay, that's a little too... That's just random doom and gloom for no reason. The Riven outplay? Yeah, that's pretty good. Seeing Bjergsen leave... Okay, I said it years ago. Franchising was a bad idea. The relegation aspect of the league was huge for viewership and the competitiveness of it all. With a set amount of teams, there's also less exposure for the up-and-coming talent that we would have seen in the relegation tourney. It's sad to see the league where it is now. But people could go and watch those upcoming talents now on Academy. They don't do that.
Yeah.
You could watch those players right now. People don't do that shit, Very well said. They started the decline the moment franchising started. Seeing the same team over and over and over again is boring as fuck. And usually it's the same players for years. Some of these players are literally hard-stuck Diamond 1/Master, and they're usually dog water when they're in my game. Okay. I mean, but the LCS franchised and their viewership, really, really increased. I don't think it's I think people are just strawmanning that. I think it's not about the franchising part of it. There's many more reasons to the LCS. Like the LEC is franchise, so is the LCK, and so is the LPL. Viewership for them is fine and really good, actually. Okay. Let's go to that one guy. What did he say? What was the guy's name? Kevin who? Kevin
Hit.
Let's go to that Kevin Hit guy because he's the one that put it out first. Let's go to Hit guy. Oh my lord. Let me go back to the video. See his at username. Mid rumors of 100 Thieves. At Kevin Hit _. Okay. So at Kevin _Hit. Should work. I probably had that wrong. No, this is some random weird fucker. At KEV. Oh my lord. That's why I hate Twitter sometimes. Kevin _ Is it the H capitalized? Jesus Christ. What is this? Oh, it's Hit with 2 H's. Oh my lord. This is crazy.
2 T's, yeah.
Good God, dude. All right, long he ain't got none of that pronoun bio shit in there. All right. Okay, what did he say? Okay, so he put it like this. Rumors of 100 Thieves and Dignitas shopping LCS teams could get more real after seeing this. I love this one. Holy shit. Let's not get crazy here. Rumor could very well be that they have at one point tested the waters to see if something makes sense as far as selling. Nothing is imminent. Nothing is even on the radar as far as what I've been told. Let's not go crazy. The LCS isn't dead. Then I guess why put it out there then? You know?
Because it's something that's been out there for a while.
Because that's the thing. The thing with that is, no, I don't believe for a second they just tried to do it one time. I don't believe that.
Oh, no. I think they tried to do it after the 2021 season.
Yeah.
Think about this. When do you sell? You sell at the highest point. If you win the championship and there's somebody that's interested in buying your orbs or your spot, you sell right there and then. You buy at the peak. Think about it. Think about this. Rogue won the LEC summer split last year and then got immediately turned to Koi the next split.
Mm-hmm.
You sell where you're high or where you're hot. You don't sell where you're cold.
If 100 Thieves leaves, no point in watching LCS for me. Again, there is nothing imminent. I was told that they were shopping around to see if something made sense out there. LCS isn't dead. And as I know it right now, Dig nor 100 Thieves are going anywhere. Yeah, but for the right price, that's going to be a little bit different, though.
Who's Dig? Oh, Dig's owned. No, it's Dig owned. No,
Dig is
owned by the Philadelphia. Who's owned by the Philadelphia Eagles?
76ers. They're the owner.
Of Dig.
Yeah.
Okay. And 100 Thieves is owned by 100 Thieves. They don't have a.
Didn't they have the Cavaliers attached to them?
Who, 100 Thieves?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure they had an investment in the Cavaliers at some point, right?
Nah, they had a. Nah, it was. I know Drake was a part owner.
Esports bubbles finally popping. I mean, that's also not. I don't disagree with this either. Travis Gaff. Oh, hell no. Okay, Nate Shot, is this true? I mean, of course, Nate Shot's not going to reply to this because, I mean, if he does reply to this, you know, that would probably go pretty bad. Okay, what else did this Kevin guy say? Step away for a couple minutes. Don't get ahead of ourselves here. These are rumors and most likely revolve around testing the waters. I don't believe it's testing the waters, though. I just don't think that. You know, the thing here is the only team that has been confirmed to leave was Steelers. We will have NRG next split. The thing with the 100 Thieves is, do they actually want to leave? Would there be a world a couple years from now where 100 Thieves leave? You know? Also, congratulations to Huhi, the first support to go 4 finals in a row, you know? 3 out of 100 Thieves. Obviously, you know, the Woman Golden Guardians, you know, Huhi had a great split overall. Yeah, I think people took this way too seriously. This fucking leftist weirdo. I agree. Nobody. Okay, so this is the thing. I don't believe for a second Dig and 100 Thieves didn't try to shop themselves around. I don't believe it for a second. What I do believe is that the amount of money that they're probably offered wasn't good enough to actually sell in that moment. I wouldn't be surprised if Dig left again. You know, Wouldn't be surprised about that. NRG's acquisition of CLG should tell folks that Riot still considers the LCS a worthwhile league and will come back and will continue to back it. It's a healthy sign. The CLG thing was more Madison Square Garden being garbage too, and management, obviously. Now that's to be expected because obviously it's MSG. Why do people think MSG was going to be the best beneficiary to have for CLG when their fucking owner doesn't even support the fucking teams he does own? Why would he support the esport ones? Is nonsense, you know, crazy shit. People believe in their lives, man.
Okay, as of now, the Energy esport is they officially switched over to Energy, and apparently Energy is still owned with a major stake by Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, maybe after like selling. Maybe that might change after a different acquisition. Maybe he says this after setting the subreddit on fire by just tweeting shit. Explain. Okay. Oh my goodness. Yeah. That's the thing. People do stuff, but on Reddit it blows up. Guys, please get off Reddit. Leak subreddit is the worst thing on this planet. Please, nobody takes that shit seriously. And if any org takes that shit seriously, you need to be fired because you're dumb. This leak subreddit is horrible, you know. But the thing here is, would 100 Thieves ever sell? I don't think they would though. I think TSM 100 Thieves are here, but Dig selling makes a lot of sense. I could see Dig easily leaving because they kind of barely got back in to begin with. You know, I could also see Immortals selling too. They have no fans. The tweets get no likes, no retweets, no impressions. You know, content trash as fuck. You know,
who's Immortals owned by?
Immortals is owned by MRB. It's a certain organization that actually has a decent backing. You know, here's the thing. Also, like K4 Polo Man mentioned earlier about the content aspect. Like, you know, the content's been really whack from a lot of these orgs too. Not just whack as in bad. It's like so spread out. You can't find a lot of it. YouTube channels be posting like one video a year. It's like, bro, you know, a lot of like pro players don't understand this too, dude. Which is like a lot of their salary is paid through sponsorship money. You know, a lot of that shit's paid through sponsorship money. So if you obviously are not creating content, and if the org is not incentivizing you to make a brand for yourself, that money's gonna dry up. And then what do you got to show your sponsor? Nothing, like nothing at all. It's just so, guys. This scene is so much stuff. I hate it sometimes. I hate it, but I love it at the same time too. You know, I love it as well. You know, but it's just, what do you tell your sponsor about like certain views on certain videos you have, or just how well you've been utilizing like their money? It's like, what do you have to show for it? Because eventually these guys are gonna come up to you and be like, hey, got anything for me? Got my money? You know? And if the org is not putting in incentives to obviously have like players make a brand for themselves, because a lot of their money's paid through this stuff, you know? A lot of these pro players think their fucking gameplay paid through this shit. It's like, no. That's how that works, dude. You know? So, I don't know, man. What do you want to say about all this stuff before we head out, actually?
That's crazy. I don't think Immortals is going anywhere anytime soon. Like, but nah, it's did going make sense. I could see what to see Southern League spot. I don't think they will, but I could see them doing it if they feel like there's another game for them to jump into.
But also, yeah, guys, as you know, had a pretty good last night. Had a pretty good today too. You know, both the teams that I support in two of the major regions won new trophies. It's always a good thing. Can't wait to have them face off against. Can't wait for them to face off with each other at MSI. Can't wait to get those sick icons, a Genji and an extra Genji and an extra C9 icon. Hey, sign me up. G2's going as well. So 3 of the main teams that I support all going to MSI.
Yeah, lucky fucker. Yeah, fuck you.
Not RNG, because they decided to turbo sprint the whole. That was business.
Yeah.
Them. They need to really bounce back for summer. I like RNG guys a lot, but god damn, they fucking stunk in the fucking spring.
Yeah, no, they did.
I did not want them going to MSI. They would look like horse shit. Well, IMT build around revenge again. That's how you go 10th place. it seems to be working out for them very good. Am I right? Good job, Immortals, building around Revenge and Kenvi. Good job. Seems to be working so well, you know. That's pretty much it too, you know. Can't wait for MSI. People are gonna probably factor in what we're gonna do for content after LCS is over and now LCK is over. There's still the LPL and the LECs are going on too, and I still have to watch the LEC games too. We'll cover more of the LCK and the LEC games come Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, come Wednesday we'll cover the LCK finals. We'll cover the LPL stuff after this week because it's gonna be just a lot. I don't want to cover myself with too much league because that's a lot of league actually. But yeah, guys, we'll see you guys on Wednesday around 2:30 p.m. PST.
Yeah.
We'll come at you guys again for another Cloud9 podcast. You know, thank you guys for showing your support. I'll have more content dropping for you guys, recapping LCK and LCS and these other like news videos that I have prepped for you guys. Like I said before, I can't stream on my main channel this week, but we'll be getting back to doing that come Friday night. Don't you just love YouTube? Don't you just love it? Also, if you guys are watching this on the replay, make sure you like the video, comment down below, subscribe if you haven't, obviously. And if you are new to just watching us do this, we do this kind of like all the time. So maybe gave you reason to watch more. I think the LCS is not going to die. I don't think Riot would let that happen, but viewership, I think, is just not going to get any better than what it is. Today, I think when I watched the finals, it was peaking out at like 50K. Guys, I think viewership is not going to ever go back to what it was. It's just not. I think you have to just get that into their mind. There's ways of increasing your viewership, but I think the way that the LCS did it this split, it's a little bit in the right direction, but I think it's never going to be those big numbers people used to see back when COG and TSM played in that one random BO1 game and that one random split that hit like 500K. That's just not going to ever happen again. That's just not a realistic number to base around your games that much, you know? It was just never, that's not a realistic number that you can look at and go, man, every year's going to have a game like that. Not happening. Unless you're Korea. So, see you guys on Wednesday.